Hello and welcome to the Remedyfibers podcast, a podcast about knitting and crochet hosted by me, Jillian. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for our returner viewers for stopping by, and if you're new, thank you so much for checking my channel out. So today we have a little bit to chat about. As you can see, I did finish my Boy Lollipop by Nancy Ritchie, and I am in love. I'm so happy with it, and I'm going to tell you some things about me working through it as well as finishing it in 3 days. Actually, it was a couple more days than that because I had to fix it, as well as my recent trip to visiting Napa Valley for the first time ever, organizing my needle stash, as well as how my current works in progress are coming about. See you soon. So first we're going to chat a little bit about the My Boy Lollipop designed by Nancy Ritchie. This is actually my third time making it, and I'm so happy with how it came out. So I knit the smallest size because I wanted a lot of negative ease. I believe I had 6 inches of negative ease, but the reason for that is because I do tend to knit very loosely. I didn't gauge for this one because I already knit it twice, but I did use a US 7. For my other tops, I normally have to go up a needle size. But as you can see, we are working with a little bit of an issue here. So when I decided to bind off for the sleeves and for the bottom, the pattern says to do it loosely. I thought I was doing it loosely, but it was very tight. And I tried it on. I even posted a YouTube short video I can include here. And I thought it looked really great on me, but the actual wear of it was not comfortable, and I can feel the tightness around my arm. So this one I was able to fix. This one I haven't fixed yet because I still have to do that, and I wanted to record today's episode. But this one I was able to cast on, rip it apart, rip the bind off apart. It's supposed to be 44 stitches. I put it up to 48 stitches. I bound off loosely this time, and it actually can go up as a sleeve rather than one of those sleeveless tops. This one is the 44 stitch sleeve. It's bound off really tightly, and I can feel it's just not comfortable for me. And I guess if you wanted that sleeveless top look, that's why it has that tightness in it, but I don't like that. So I'm gonna rip this apart. I'm gonna do it again, and I actually redid the hem. I took it apart, did it really loosely as much as possible, and I just feel so much more comfortable in it. It's such a great fit, and I'm really happy with it. The yarn that I used is DK in Sueño Tweed, and I'll put the name of the colorway below because I can't remember it right now. But it was such a fast knit. It was so fun to work up, and I think I want it in more colors for this summer. So this weekend I actually got to visit Napa Valley for the very first time. It was so amazing. It was very awe-inspiring because the scenery there was really beautiful. We chose the fastest route to get there, and sadly this scenic route was the scariest drive we've ever had. We actually drove through these crazy canyons, and I'll include footage here, but it was extremely scary. There was one way going, one way coming. People were cutting around us, and it was terrifying. I was gripping the passenger door so tightly. I had to remind myself to breathe because I was so anxious. But we actually drove through Lake Berryessa. They have a famous lake there, also known as Glory Hole. I'm not quite sure if it's a man-made reservoir or lake, but sadly I wasn't able to see it as we were driving because of the drought that's in California. I guess in years prior it looked kind of crazy the way this lake turned out, and I can include a picture. But we also drove through Puda Creek State Park. Visually it was amazing. The experience was terrifying, but I would love to go back. There was actually a lot of camping and a lot of RV resorts in that area. But eventually we made our way. It was about an hour and 45 minutes to Napa Valley, and we went to this town called Castelstoga, I believe it's called. And they're known for their mud baths, their hot springs, and I think their mineral water. There was a a non-active volcano there called St. Helena, and they use some of the water there. It has special properties, so it was really cool to learn about that. But we got to visit Tamber Bay Vineyards, and it was so beautiful. It's actually a winery located in a working horse ranch, and the property owners wanted to pair their love of horses with wine tasting. So when you enter the vineyard, they have a nice outdoor seating area. We got to taste 5 different wines, but it was really nice to at least try their specialty wines. They actually grow everything 100% on their property, and while you're there you get to meet miniature horses. They were so cute, but also 2 of the working horses, I think they're actually retired. They were Arabian horses that they used to use for endurance races, and so one was Zoe and I think the other name was Stella, but because they were so big I was actually really scared to pet them. Bright was able to pet them, but I was just a little bit too intimidated to actually touch their head. But they were really sweet horses, and it was really cool to see that while being there. The reason why I picked this specific vineyard is because it was hosted on the Visit Napa Valley website, and it was a wine and cookie pairing. But they forgot about our cookies, and we were ready, I think, towards the end of it when Bright asked, "Where are our cookies?" And they brought them out, and we could not stop laughing because they were shortbread cookies with very interesting flavors. There was like smoked bacon flavor, herb and parsley flavor. We're like, where are the sugar cookies? Where are the sweets? They tasted more like crackers than actual cookies. But the wines that we actually tasted were the Sauvignon Blanc, the Chardonnay, the Rosé, and then I just stopped after the Cabernet Sauvignon. The first 3 were light colored white wines, and the last 2 were dark red wines, and I just did not have the taste for it. And then Bright tried I think it was called the Rubicano. I can't really see what my picture says, but he didn't like the last 2 either. So the first 3 were really good. Not really good because they were good, but as non-wine people, we can't really decipher what's good and not good. But they have so many different excursions. We definitely want to go back. There's actually a place where you can get mud baths, be in the mineral springs, the hot springs, and there were huge signs everywhere for different excursions. They have a castle over there with chambers and bridges. As they said, it's similar to the Tuscany castles that exist in Italy. So that would be cool. They also have a train ride where you can do wine tasting on the train, and just a whole bunch of different cool things. And I feel like it's literally an hour and 45 minutes away. It's so close, so we definitely want to visit again. This week I also had a lot of time on my hands because school has officially closed. Yes, I'm still working, but all the students are gone for the summer, and next year we will get a whole bunch of brand new first-year students starting college for the very first time. There might be people coming and going because we are still in a city and there are summer conferences, but it's really nice to have a slower pace of work. So this weekend I was also able to organize my knitting needle stash, and I realized that I had so many duplicate needles that I don't even go to those sizes in years. And I had all of them laid out, and I said, why did I order US 9 40-inch length needles and have 3 of them? I don't even use 40-inch length needles anymore. I guess when I first started I was making a lot of blankets, and so that makes sense, but I really wanted to downsize my needle stash because I just get really frustrated when I'm trying to knit something. I'm looking through all the needles and I keep seeing the same needle over and over again. So let me show you how I did this to kind of inspire you if you have the same problem that I faced this week. So I keep all of my needles in my Chelsea Yarns clear bag. I love this bag. This is the bag that I purchased from the Red Bank store when it was an active store years ago. But actually I don't think I purchased it. I think it came with my order. But for this purpose, I decided to use Ravelry. If you did not know, Ravelry actually has a page where you can list your crochet hooks, your knitting needles, as well as the lengths and size that you have in the different needles. And I feel that's really helpful because before I go to a yarn store, I'm checking to see, do I have this needle? Do I need to purchase this needle, to avoid buying duplicate needles. So I marked off on Ravelry if I have a US 7 and a 16 inch, as well as a US 7 and a 32 inch, and I decided to keep my US 7 40 inch, and in this case I put two in the same package just because I do use US 7s a lot for a lot of garment making. I notice a lot of garment making patterns that I've ask for a 6, 7, especially for DK weight yarn, and the 5s. Right now I'm entering into the lower end of like 2s and 3s, size 4 needles, and I don't have those, and so that's why I really wanted to keep track of what I have so I'm not overbuying. After I logged everything in Ravelry, I put a little paper clip just because it's so hard to dig through a bag and then you have all these different sizes, and it got really chaotic in there. So as you can see, for my US ones, which I use for my sock knitting, as well as a US 132 inch, which I never use, I also updated Ravelry and put them in a little paper clip. So these are all the needles that I have, and my ultimate goal is to pretty much transition into interchangeable needle sets so I can avoid constantly buying more needles, having that big splurge in one go, and then just changing the length of the cord when I need to for the pattern. I was hesitant to give needles away because sometimes I use them as holders. So for example, for this top, as I was knitting the body of it in a US 7 32 length, I had a US 7 I think 16 length for one sleeve and a US 7 32 length for the other sleeve. And I like to put, when I'm knitting garments, I like to put the sleeves that I'm not working on needles because it just makes it so much easier to transfer it. I know some people use thread, but I think I tried that one and I didn't really like that. So I like to use additional needles depending on, and keeping it on the same size, so US 7, as needle holders, stitch holders for my project. In organizing my needle stash, I also decided to let some things go, things that I haven't used, things that are no longer serving me, / just freeing up more space in my stash. So I decided to give away all of my DPNs. I have US 1 5-inch DPNs, and these are wood from Clover. I have the 6-inch US 9 Nirvana needle set. I have US 5 7-inch. I have some Karbonz US 6. And then I just have more DPNs. I also have US 8 40-inch, US 9 40-inch, US 5 40-inch, US 9 40-inch, and US 6 40-inch. So I'm getting rid of all of my 40 inches. I'm getting rid of all of my DPNs. And if you're interested in having any of these, I can list them in the description below. I can include what sizes I have, and then just message me your Ravelry, through Ravelry, your address, and then I'll just give them to you for free, as long as you just send me money for shipping, because you know shipping prices are high. But yeah, I really want to give these away, especially to people who are actually going to use them. So yeah, if you decide that you want multiple needles, the shipping obviously would be very low since they're so thin, and I can just include as much as you would like in those. But I don't use DPNs. I thought I would want to use them for sock knitting, but I prefer the US 1 16-inch circular. I don't like magic loop for socks. So if you need those, take them off my hands. I'll put the information below on what sizes I have, the length of them. Message me at Ravelry, send me your address, and we'll figure out a way for payment so I can get those over and shipped to you. Jen, I'm still making my way to the post office. I didn't forget about you. I just need to get a stamp and mail a letter so I can start the process of changing my last name. So bear with me, girl. But Jen did claim her giveaway, so if you were hoping to enter the giveaway, that one is closed, and I have one working up for some future episodes. So I do have some updates on my works in progress. I actually have taken a complete stop on the summer sorrel. I'm gonna give it another go. I'm gonna try again, but I needed some amount of time from working on it because it just was a big source of frustration. I haven't done anything on the summer sorrel, but I'm hoping this week I can start from scratch, start fresh, and hopefully get my short rolls together. I'm having such a hard time with short rolls. I've never had a good experience with short rolls. I've never learned from anyone. They're all YouTube or reading a pattern to try to do them. And so I'm really hoping that I can improve on this because there are so many beautiful patterns with short rolls, and I'm leaning more towards never doing them again, and I really want to conquer this skill. As for my boardwalk blouse by Poison Girls, I bought my pattern, I knit my gauge swatch, and I also have been a little bit stuck on this pattern because I used the US 3, which is the recommended needle size for getting gauge, and I'm off by like a few lines in the measurement. It's supposed to measure out 4 inches, and I do like the way the fabric works out. I do want negative ease, so even if it's a little bit on the smaller side, it will fit my body the way I want. But I'm stuck between which size to knit because I think the smallest size might be a 28 and then it goes up to a 34. But if I go down to a 28, I'm worried that it would be too much negative ease, too tight, too small. But I did knit a very small size on this one, and because it's supposed to stretch and the way the pattern is designed, it does work out. So that's kind of where my hesitancy is, if I should use a US 3, and then also if I should knit a very small size and hoping that it has that stretch, and that's what the top is supposed to be for. Or if I try a US 4, which I started doing my gauge on, and I still was off gauge by a few lines on the measuring tape, but I didn't soak it to see if it would grow, because since this has some cotton in it, I believe it will grow. So this one is actually wet blocked and dried, and I'm not sure. I'm rambling about this, but I think because I struggled a little bit this time on the My Boy Lollipop, I'm a little bit scared rather than just plunging right in. But this is something that I'm going to work on this week as well. One thing I wanted to end with this week is, through your adventure of knitting and crocheting, especially as you become a garment knitter, a garment crafter, or you hope to do that, I would say some things that I've learned through knitting garments is you have to have a lot of patience with yourself and a lot of kindness. I feel like working through some of my garments, I have really beat myself up when they don't fit right, when I make a mistake, because ultimately we're making things that we can wear on a day-to-day basis. And with that being said, sometimes you have to alter it or work backwards so that it fits your body. And I've been watching a lot of videos on how you can modify what you're making to your body, because sometimes one size does not fit all. A size 34 on one person might not fit and they have the same measurement, because your shoulder length might be different or your torso length might be different. And so one thing that I've learned in making the My Boy Lollipop is just to kind of treat yourself kinder, because I did have to rip out and I was upset about that, or I knitted too tight and I was upset about that. But I'm so much more happier when I took the time to go back, make the changes, fix it, because now I have a garment. Once I fix this sleeve, I have a garment that I'm going to be able to wear. And I really, really love the outfit I'm wearing. So if at the end I can see if it'll come out right. But this with shorts, especially being a nice summer fiber, I feel like I can wear this all throughout this summer. Before we end today's video, I just want to say thank you everyone for the beautiful comments on my last video on getting married. If you haven't checked that out, definitely tune in, because I talked about getting married in Las Vegas, as well as including our wedding video. I hope that you and your family are healthy, happy, and safe. I hope to see you next week, and have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye.